Hi, today I'm gonna show you how to knit this beautiful onesie. Let's get started. Please check my description box for all the details. I put pretty much everything you need there. Today, I'm gonna show you how to knit this dog sweater again. I've done it before because I got the comment says, I didn't actually put my dog's size and measurement, so she couldn't knit my dog sweater. But I just want to prove it that you don't need my dog's sizes. That's because this is all customized. You have to knit your swatch and take a measure and measure your dog, then do the math. And the math part is hard. You can actually buy my gauge math template. Okay, so today I have 3 rules. 1, no physical model. I'm not going to use my dog to make sure, the size is good. Okay, number 2, just the measurements only. Okay, I just want to prove it. I don't need my dog to knit this sweater. And 3, do your math. Okay, so let's talk about the, measurement. First of all, you have to swatch. You have to knit your swatch and take a gauge. My swatch is 4 inch by 4 inch, 18 stitches, and 24 rows. Okay, then let's take a measurement. Please think this is my dog, okay? Because he's gonna move, so I can't really use. First of all, my dog's actual neck is 9. However, I'm using the one size smaller needle and 1x1 ribbon, so neck start with 12 inch instead of 9. You can see, the 1x1 ribbon, it shrinks, right? Also one size smaller. So don't go with actual neck sizes. Okay, so I'm gonna start with 12. And now measure from bottom of the neck rib to the top of the front leg. Okay, so you have to measure your dog. And mine is 3 inches. Okay, and next is the chest sizes. Okay, if your dog has bigger tummy, you can actually measure tummy area. Okay, for me, 15 inches, top and down the bottom of the front leg. And please measure loosely. Okay, and next, from the front leg until end of the tummy, the front piece, without the rib. Okay, for me, about 4.5 inches. Or you can actually measure, until where you want to, finish with the rib. And for me, 5.5 to 6 inch, and take 1 inch away because I have to add, the rib. Okay, the front piece has to be shorter than back piece because they have to pee. Okay, and next is the back piece. So that's gonna be from the bottom of the neck until the end, without the rib, whichever. But you have to consider you have to have rib later. Also, 1 inch from the bottom of the neck, I have to actually put the leash opening. Then both back and front legs with rib. Okay, 5 inch, that's good enough. If it's long, the leg and front, legs, that's okay. You can fold it, right? So, and 3 inches for my, the front leg. And Color, I didn't even think about it. Okay, so now let's do the math together. I'm gonna use my math gauge template. If you don't have it, you have to do your math by yourself. All right. Okay, so I open up my math gauge template. If you have this, you don't have to do your math at all, pretty much. Okay, but if you don't have this and you don't want to, spend any money at this moment, that's fine. You just have to do the ratio math. You know, if you don't mind doing, math by yourself, don't worry about it. Okay, and there are three tabs: original, upgraded, and information. Okay, and I'm gonna use the upgraded one because it's all in one. Okay, so let's put my gauge, and you have to use your gauge and measurement. Okay, this is just an example. So my gauge was 4" by 4" and 18 stitches width and 4" and 24 rows width and 4". Okay, so let me, go a little bit bigger. Okay, there you go. This is my gauge, and you have to put your gauge information right here. And first of all, I want to find out the cast on number. This is top down sweater. So starting with neck. And do you remember my neck? My dog's neck, obviously. My dog's actual neck size was 9", but I said, I'm going to start with 12. That's because, it's going to be one size smaller needle and 1x1 ribbon. So it's going to be shrink a bit, right? So I don't want him to choke. So start with 12 and ended up, 9". That was okay. Anyway, so if you want to know the cast on, right here. Okay, number 12, pattern or your. So your, width is 12. So there we go, 12. So the yellow is your number. So my cast on number is 54. And this number has to be even number because, again, I'm going to use 1x1 ribbon. So has to be even number, which means you start with knit stitch and end with purl stitch. Okay, and I didn't really talk about the neck rib length because it's no reason really, but I'm gonna actually do the math. Okay, so my neck rib length, my desired neck rib length is 3". So right here, the height. But be careful, okay? The neck rib, I'm gonna use the one size smaller size. However, if it's one size smaller needle, usually, one or two stitches or rows difference. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. But anyway, so height. So that's going to be 3. I want to knit around 3". Okay, that's what I measured. And 18. Okay, this is actually with the one size bigger needle, but fine, 3" good. So my neck rib will be 18 rows here. Okay, and then do you remember I measure the length for the, from the bottom of the neck rib until you hit the top of the front leg? That was 3". So 3", 18. So what do you mean by this? Okay, I'm going to start with 54 cast and 1x1 ribbon, 18 rows. And after the neck rib, I change the needle and then I'm gonna knit another 3", which is 18 rows. Okay, so you got that part. And next is chest size. Do you remember 15 inches for me? Kind of loosely, okay? And so that's stitch count, same as neck. So I'm gonna put 15 now instead of 12 and 67.5. So I'm gonna go with 68 because there's no such a number for knitting 67.5 stitches. There's no such a thing. So either 67 or 68. And I kind of want to keep, what is that? The even number. So I'm going to pick 68. And let's talk about this. So start with 54 and then end with 68. You have to have 68 stitches for the biggest part, right? So, which means 68 minus 54 is actually 14 stitches. 14 stitches you have to increase before the chest. Before you create dog top leg opening. Okay? And now you don't have to do any math. Okay? So let's go down. I believe that's 16 right here. Increasing within one row. Okay? So before you hit the leg opening, okay, you have to increase within one row. If it's too many stitches, you can actually use 2 rows or 3 rows or whatever. Okay? So this is the thing right here. The current stitch count is 54, right? And total stitch count is 68. So, boom. Stitch increase is 14 stitches, okay? And the frequency, what does this mean? Let me open, okay? The frequency is how often you have to increase one stitch, okay? But again, there's no such a thing 3.8 stitches. So either 3 or 4. So you have to increase one stitch every 3 stitch or every 4 stitch. And now set. What do you mean by set? Okay, if I put the castle like here, and if there is the red, triangle on the top right corner, the memo pops up and it says if the frequency number is not the prime number, or prime number means 3 or 4, 5, 6, not the point something, something. You can use this to make sure, okay? So, okay, let's not to talk, let's do it, okay? Make sure means 3 or 4, so I'm going to put the 3. There you go. If I increase one stitch every 3 stitch, you ended up increasing 18, okay? But I want to increase only 14, which means you have to adjust the number somewhere 4 times to make it 14. Okay? So if I increase one stitch every 4 stitch, okay, enter. 13.5. So if I increase one stitch every 4 stitch, you will end up 13.5. So you might have to adjust one stitch. So which is better? Adjust 4 stitches or adjust one stitch somewhere to make it 68? Obviously, number 4. That's how you think. All right? So, that's good. Also, you don't know 14 stitches, too many stitches? Well, it's okay, but if you want to know, let's do that here. Okay? So, current stitch 54, goal stitch 68, and frequency 1 means how many times you want to increase within one row or within two row. And this time I want to, increase within one row. Okay? So 1. So this means I have a 54 and I want to, increase some stitch, and my goal is 68. And I want to increase 14 stitch within one row, means I increase 25% of current stitches. And the memo says this is the percentage of your increasing. Okay, so, and usually, okay, 20 to 30% is ideal. If you increase way more, like a 50% or 100%, it's going to be very wavy. So I usually keep this percentage below 30. Then you can actually increase in one row. Okay, let's talk. Okay, if my goal, okay, stitch count is 100, and then I want to increase, let's say, within one row, which means I have to increase 46 stitches in one row. That's got to be 80%, 85% increase. That's too much. So then you have to think, okay, I have to maybe increase within two rows, then still 42%. What about 3? 28. Okay, so if you want to increase this much, okay, maybe you have to divide it by 3 and then, increase in row number 1, and next row, no increasing. And then, increase in number 3, increase one more time, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so, this is good. Okay, so that's the increasing part. Okay, so, and next, actually quite easy, the length. The front has to be shorter than back, I said, right? And it says 4.5. And this would be row count, right? So if it's row count, right here, height. So I'm going to put 4.5. There you go. And 27 rows. So the measurement, yes, it doesn't have to be prime number, right? 4.3 inches, 4.5, 6.7, fine. As long as this row count, stitch count are prime number. Okay, so the height, if I want to knit at least 4.5 inches, I have to knit 27 rows. Okay, so after I create the front leg opening, I have to knit 27 rows. And next is the back piece, 13 inches total. Okay, so 13. So back piece from the bottom of the neck rib until the tailbone without the rib, 78 rows I have to knit. So I have to count, right? And one more. I have to actually know 1 inch because I have to actually make the leash opening. So 6 rows, which means finish the neck rib and start knitting, just the body, and around the 6th row, I have to actually create the dog leash opening. Okay, and then the leg is easy, just 3, 18, and if it's 5 inch, 30. Okay, and now this is my plan. Okay, and after that, I don't have to, put the project onto, your dog, my dog, and to make sure everything is, the right, size. As long as you measure right place and right way. Okay. And I actually kept the promises. I didn't actually put this on to my dog to make sure. And I finished the project and put it on to my dog, and it was a perfect size. So the key is you have to knit your swatch, also the measure, right place, okay, right way. Then I'm gonna follow this, numbers. And please don't follow the inches or centimeter, because, that way you have to, measure every time. But once you figured it out, the number with math, you just count. That's it. Okay, as long as you knit the swatch. All right, so let's move on to actual knitting. Okay. Okay, cast on. I made 54, or multiple of 2. By the way, I'm using the scrap yarn because I knew I'm going to actually add the color or hood, later, but don't use it. I didn't really like it this time. Okay, so just imagine this isn't, scrap yarn. This is my, main yarn. Okay, so after the cast on, I'm gonna actually start neck rib. Okay, in round. So there we go. Just pretend that I'm using main color, and I actually made the 55 stitches, and I connect first. So it's now in round. So if you want to use this trick, make the extra, stitch and slide one onto the right needle from the, left needle, and just pass the slip stitch over. That's it. Okay. And I'm going to actually connect. So when I actually used the scrap yarn, it was pain in neck to remove the scrap yarn and picking up the the stitch. Then I should have done just regular knitting up. So anyway, the neck rib is just a 1x1 ribbon. So knit one and purl one until your desired length. But for me, 18 rows. Okay, because that's my math says. And I decide I'm gonna actually change the color every 9 rows. This is completely up to you. If you wanna, have smaller, thinner stripes, you can actually change every 3 rows. Okay, it's up to you. Or you don't really have to change the color. Okay, I want something different, so I'm gonna use stripe design. Anyway, so after the second row, just knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch. Okay, and so 18 rows. Every 9 rows I'm gonna change. So there you go, that's it. And change the needle about 3 less than 3 inches, but that's okay. That's because one size smaller needle. Anyway, now I have 5mm needle. Okay, then just start knitting body, which is just all knit. Okay, and remember, 6th row I have to create the dog leash opening. So there you go. Attach. When you attach different color, you have to kind of twist with the end tail yarn like that. Otherwise, it's gonna be big gap around there. Okay, so make sure about it, and just all knit 6 rows. And by the way, I haven't talked about when I should increase for the chest part, right? In the middle, nothing really, you know, particular time. But, after I create the leash opening and knit couple rows, then I'm going to actually increase, okay? Not just before the leg opening, okay? So anyway, I'm going to actually knit 6 row and then leash opening. However, one more thing I want to talk about, which is right here. Little tip to avoid color jog. As you can see, right there is little jog, okay? Because you're knitting, round and changing the color. So at the very end, always have a little jog. But if you want to minimize that jog, here's a tip, okay? So I knit with green yarn. This is going to be second row, right? So the bottom is blue and now green on the needle. So the previous color, okay? And right side of the previous stitch like that, hook onto left needle. So 2 different color of the stitch on left needle and first and second stitch like that, and knit those 2 together. Then you can avoid little jog, minimize I should say. You can't really see much at this moment because you just created, but once you finish, you know what I'm talking about. Better than nothing. Okay? So it's really up to you. If you want to, minimize the jog, you can do that. Okay? Okay, now I knit 6 rows. Okay, now I want to create the leash opening. And before you do that, you have to count. Okay, so where the begin marker is, that's the center of dog's chest. So count evenly, okay, from begin marker and put 2 markers in the center of back piece. Okay, and I took 1 inch from the bottom of the neck, but it's up to you. It's up to your dog's harness. Okay, so, I'm not going to tell you when. This is customized sweater. Okay, so I just knit until the, leash opening marker, remove it, and there's 6 stitch. And I am going to, there you go, bind off. I just did 1, and this is second and third bind off, 4th and 5th bind off, and then second marker, where is the 6th bind off, which is right that stitch. So remove the marker, knit 1 more, then bind off. This is the 6th stitch. So you have to be very careful, okay? And then knit 1 round until where the stitch is all gone. And you have to remember how many bind off you made in previous row because you have to add same number of new cast. I add 6 and start knitting. Once you knit the first one, there you go, connect. That's it. And this method is same for dog leg opening. So please remember that, okay? And there you go. Now increasing. So I knit 9, 10th. Okay, so this is gonna be my increasing row. Okay, so let's do that. I already talked about, how often I'm going to increase. And first of all, there we go. minimize the little gap. So the green on the left and then two different color knit together. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and one more. Because every 4th stitch, after 4th stitch, I am going to increase 1 stitch. And I'm gonna use make one left. Pick up the running thread and hook onto left needle like that, and make sure running thread shifting towards to left. That's the right position. And knit back loop like that. This is make one left. If you like make one right, go ahead. Use make one right. Okay? So make one right is pick up the running thread. Oh, sorry, this is make one left again. So the running thread is shifting left, and then always knit, okay, the thread attached to next stitch, okay, and next stitch attach back side. So back side is purl side. That's why you put the needle sticking straight in. That's it. Okay, and again, I'm sorry, if you want to use the make one right, because that's easier, go ahead. Okay, but if you pick make one right, use make one right whole time. Okay, I pick make one left, so I'm going to use make one left. There we go. Use the back loop and knit that one. Okay, so again, I am going to increase 1 stitch every 4 stitch, which means you knit 4 stitch, then increase. There you go. Make one left one more time and knit back loop. That's it. And after this, it's gonna be 68. Okay, so I increase and I keep knitting after I increased, and I hit 18 row. I just finished, knitting 18th row. Now, let's create the, dog leg opening. So, again, the mid chest is the front center. So, count evenly. I think I took 3 both way. So, total of 6 in between, 2 legs. And then I believe that was 12, stitches for both each legs. Okay. And again, I'm in, begin marker where the start. So obviously I'm going to start with left leg. And again, this method is same as leash opening. So I don't really have to, tell you everything. And I change the, color. So twist it to avoid the, little unnecessary gap. There we go. And hit the left leg marker, remove it, and again, bind off first. Okay. And again, if you're binding off, 10 or 12 stitches, make sure, okay, you have to actually bind off one more after you remove the second marker. Okay. And, I changed the color so, I can see little, blue color in between, bind off, but I don't really care because I know I'm going to add sleeves. So you don't really have to worry about that part. Okay. So just knit around and you do the same thing for the other side of the leg. And here comes back to the begin marker and avoiding the jog. There you go. And knit two together there. And this time you have to do new cast. So adding the new cast, same number as your bind off. So I bind off 12, so I am going to add 12, new cast. That's it, okay? So after the leg opening has done, just keep knitting until your desired length for front piece. I believe my desired length was 4.5 inches and 27 row. So there you go. I finish my leg opening and knit 27 row. So this is enough length for tummy. So I'm gonna actually take, okay, front piece out, but I'm gonna actually keep the front piece stitches because I have to add rib later, right? So I put the marker, okay. This is up to you. If you want to have a, smaller front piece, you can do that too. It doesn't really matter, okay? It doesn't have to be, complete half. For me, little less, okay? And that's for front, okay? Yeah, smaller is fine. But I just want to make sure, a little bit bigger, so it doesn't get wet or whatever. I cut the yarn because I gotta start from, either side now, because I am going to knit only back piece from now for a little while, which is in flat. No more, round. So transfer all the, tummy stitch from marker to marker where you, put it. You can use the stitch holder, but, this is easier to, transfer. So I use the scrap yarn and to taking the needle off and tie the knot and secure. There you go. And you know what? I usually put the sweater on here and there to make sure, right? But this time I didn't. Okay? And now, only for back piece. And you remember, my back piece has to be 78 rows from the bottom of the neck until his tailbone without the rib. So you know which rows you're on. Then I want to actually end with right side. So I'm gonna start with the purl because it was even number left over for me. Okay, so I'm gonna start with purl side, wrong side, and row number 2 is the knitting side, and the right on the 78th row, it's gonna be right side for me. You know what I'm saying? Because after you finish the back piece, you have to reconnect everything and start knitting it round. And it has to be on the right side. Okay? So I'm starting on wrong side. So it's really up to you, your project. Okay? So the first row, all purl. Second row, all knit. So just finish the back piece. Okay? And here comes. I kept the, the stripes, and I finish 78 rows. There you go. That's how it looks. Okay, pretty square. Now, I divide by 3 parts. Okay, the one, back part in the center and little bit of the stitch for each side. And, there's no reason really, okay? 6 stitch for each side, that's for the leg. You don't really need too many, stitches for leg, okay? So 6 stitches for me is like, I think 4-inch. So that's gonna be 5, probably little more than 1 inch, something like that. Okay. Anyway, so I'm gonna actually start with my right side of the leg. So I'm picking up the 6 stitches. Okay. There we go. I think I'm picking up a little bit more than 6 inches, 6 stitches, but I did 6 stitches. Maybe I changed it later. Anyway, so on the side of the back piece, before the, front piece, okay, I am going to create the dog, leg. So knitting up the side, along the side from the bottom towards to top. But you have to stop before the front piece, okay? Because you have to create the, the rib later on. And how you knit up, knit 3 up side by side and 1 space skip and then knit 3 up. Okay? So it's not going to be too many stitches and it's not going to be wavy. It's perfect. Okay? And I actually knit up 18 stitches total. So 18 stitches on the side and 6 stitches at the bottom. So total of 24 stitches on the needle later on. Okay? And you have to remember how many stitches you knit up because you have the other side of the legs. Okay? And, good thing I did the stripe. So easy for me to kind of lined up. Okay? So 18 stitch. And bottom should be 8. Oh, no, sorry, 6. But looks a little bit like 8. But forget it, I'm pretty sure I did 6. Because that's what it said. Again, the bottom stitch count, it doesn't really matter, okay? So take the scrap yarn out only for the right side because I have to knit from now on, okay? And just keep it secure. There you go. And I'm gonna actually knit about 1.5 inch worth, okay? In flat. For me, which is 9 rows, okay? So, starting with the back piece, because that's where the yarn attached, and just back and forth, and after you knit certain rows, 1.5 inch rows, you have to add new cast and start knitting in 1 row. Okay, and why 1.5? Everybody pretty much same. Okay, you can't start knitting in round because after this you have to add inch worth rib and you need some space to put dog's leg in. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, you're facing to right side, and I am going to add 18 stitches because that's how many I knit up. Okay, that's the other side of the leg, inside leg. Okay, and after I add the 18 stitches, I am going to connect the other end to make it two, like a pants. You know what I'm saying? There you go. And make sure you add the begin marker. Sorry, I wasn't ready for the, marker. There you go. And for me, for the leg length was 5 for back leg and total of 30 rows. Okay, so I kept the stripes, and that's it, I guess last 9th row, I add the rib. So there you go. I knitted enough. Okay. And this is last 9th row. I am going to no, this is not 9th row. But anyway, because I'm changing the color. So 30, 18, 27, yeah, probably 18, 12. Last 12 rows or something. I'm twisting the end tail. And there you go. Just, one by one rib. Same as, neck. That's it. Okay. And after you, hit your desired length, bind off. And has to be little stretchy bind off. So I use one size bigger needle. The 1x1 ribbon was made by 4mm needle and now 5mm to bind off. More fabric and more space to stretch that out. Okay. And when you actually do the one size bigger needle, don't pull the yarn too hard. If you pull the yarn too hard, it's not going to be stretchy. Okay, there we go. One side down, and now the other side. The other side, you do the same thing. But the one thing I want to make sure is where you start knitting up. Because you have to face right side. Which means you have to, start with kind of top side. For the right side, you're starting with the bottom side. Okay? So that's the only difference. And then when you actually knit up 18 stitches, there's the 6th stitch from the bottom, buttocks side, right? And you can't knit that 6 stitches because for the right side, I didn't. So if you really want to be perfect, you shouldn't and cut the yarn and then start from the wrong side. You know what I'm saying? Right here. I just finished the knitting up 18. And I am picking the 6th stitch. Like, the other side. But again, this one, you can't knit. Just the transfer. Which means your working yarn okay, is in the middle. Now, and you can't start in the middle, right? So you have to cut the yarn and attach the new yarn. Okay, so there we go. And I kept actually telling you 6 stitches, but maybe 8 stitches. Doesn't matter. Okay. And again, start with the wrong side, 9 rows, and right on the 9th row, it's gonna be the right side because you have to connect. Do you remember? And you do the same thing. You know, that's about it. So easy. Okay. Almost done. Well, almost. Yeah, almost done. Okay. Now, both legs are done. Okay, so now I have to add rib around tummy, leg, and back, bottom. Okay. You can actually start from anywhere, but I start from right after the existing, stitch. Okay, all the way, knit up and knit wherever stitch is there, in one round. And again, knitting up rule is knit 3 up side by side, and then 1 space, skip, and then repeat. That's it. Okay. Again, there's the stitch on the needle. Just knit. Okay. That's it. If you want to start with the existing, stitch, fine. And you have to count, and you should knit up same stitch count for the other side as well. This time you don't really, have to worry about too much because it's not the, sleeves. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, same stitch count should look better. And sometimes people ask where exactly you should knit up. I would say right on the edge. A lot of people, knit up different way, but if it's not in the middle of project, I think it's okay. You don't really have to worry too much. Oh, and all the rib are 4mm needle I used, which is one size smaller needle. Okay, and the reason why I skipped the one space, in between, that's because I don't really want a wavy, rib. So, little bit, pulling each other. So the rib has to be kind of flat. Okay, if it's too many stitches and make a rib, how should I say? The rib stands up. You know what I'm saying? And this time I wanna kind of flat and lay down. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I finish one round. Okay, as you can see, and just all knit. Okay, then now I am going to start one by one ribbon, which is repeat of knit 1 and purl 1. So the stitch count has to be, okay, multiple of 2. But, if you have odd number, which is multiple of 2 plus 1, you can adjust it anywhere, you can knit 2 together to, eliminate the 1 stitch. Okay? And I finished the rib, and I also did the front leg, which is easier, so I skipped it. And now I would like to talk about the color, which is easy. However, because of I used the scrap yarn, it was a little bit hard to pick up the stitch, because this was the ribbon. If it was just a knit stitch, it was okay. So anyway, so as I told you before, I told you not to use the scrap yarn. So right here, you have to knit up. And when you knit up for the neck color, knit up every single stitch, which is same stitch count as cast on number. Okay? Because I don't want the dog choke because you knit less. You know what I'm saying? So knit 1 round. Okay? Well, I should say knit up 1 round. Okay? Then that's the the mid stitch where I start, and the first and last stitch has to be knit stitch. Okay, I'll tell you why. Okay, so the first how to start is on the right side, knit 1 and repeat of knit 1 and purl 1, and end with knit 2. Okay, so if you definitely has to adjust, please do so. Okay, and I did it. Okay, because I didn't really have enough stitch count for this. Okay, so this has to be just multiple of 2 plus 3. Okay, but I didn't have the enough. I think 1 stitch missing. So, and I forgot to use the biggie marker. So again, the neck color start with knit, and then the ribbon starts after that, which is knit 1 and purl 1, and at the end I should end with knit 2. So this is close to end. So there we go. I have 1 stitch missing, so I knit and back, knit front and back to create the 1 stitch, and then knit 2 to end. You know what I'm saying? The reason why I did this, because if it's just a knit 1, purl 1 rib and color, the first row for each side kind of bend. That's because it's curled a little bit right on the edge. So if you create 1 extra stitch, knitting stitch, along to the knit stitch next, and then before the end, it looks straight. You know what I'm saying? I hope so. Sometimes if you make a 1 by 1 rib for neck color, it's curved. That's because it's curled. You know what I'm saying? But if you're adding 1 more stitch for each side, looks straight down. Okay, so that's what I did, and that's all. Okay, whenever you knit the enough length for the color, bind off, and I add the bow tie, And there's lots of bow tie video out there, so you can, watch and create it one, or you don't have to. Look at this. This is so cute. And again, after I finish, I put this onto my dog, and it was perfect size. So as long as you knit your swatch and measure, right place, right way, there we go. You can actually knit perfect sweater, okay, without your dog with you. So if you want to knit somebody else's dog, just ask them to measure where I measure, okay? Then you should be able to knit, the right size. Okay? So thank you for watching again, and have a Merry Christmas and have a great New Year. Okay? So see you soon. Bye for now.